This is such a horrifying story, but most people who've heard about it don't know all of the nuances, don't know the context of this story. They simply think of it as a possible murder story. A man, remains of this child found on the compound. They don't know at all that this man was a jihadist. Where is this information when the mainstream media is reporting it?
It's unbelievable. Recently, there was a horrific case of an evil mother and father right here in Southern California that had their children imprisoned, I believe, like in their basement and in their backyard. And it was nonstop on most mainstream media news outlets where they had child psychiatrists come on and talk about the impact that this negative and awful and abusive upbringing would have on these, I believe, 6 children that were found. You're not seeing any conversation about this at all. You're not seeing people talk about who are these other 11 children. Who do they belong to? There are also other adults that were at that compound as well. I mean, this looks to have all of the makings of a jihadi terrorist compound right here in the United States of America. And it is astonishing, and I think the FBI needs to be questioned as well. Did they have any tips about this happening in the first place if this poor 3-year-old boy hadn't gone missing? I mean, it's unbelievable that the mainstream media, one, isn't really addressing the story, and then two, when they address it, not giving Americans all of the facts.
Right, and I think you're right. It was just a couple months ago. There was that family, I don't remember their last name, but they had something like 14 children from the ages of very small, maybe 3 or 4, all the way up to early 20s. And they homeschooled the children in order to abuse them, to hold them hostage, to just treat them in the most depraved, disgusting way possible. And the left was so quick to conflate that with all homeschoolers and say, well, this is why you don't homeschool your children. This is why we need government oversight of homeschooling. They were so quick.
And we need the government to check in. Yep.
Exactly. They were so quick to conflate that. To conflate homeschooling with this type of abuse, yet when we have an ideology that actually seems to encourage the oppression of women, the oppression of children, the way that we saw in this compound, they won't mention that at all.
It's absolutely disgusting. And this guy, obviously, maybe the evil is genetic in this situation because, as you mentioned, his father, who he shares the name of, was also an unindicted co-conspirator. Oh, and a mentor to Linda Sarsour, the Women's March, who has yet to make comment on this. I mean, if they are really for women and children, and that's what I thought the Women's March was all about, right? Just children after they've been born, of course, then you would think that they would step out against this horrific abuse and training that is occurring in New Mexico. It's astounding on lots of levels, and I think that we need to have answers from the mainstream media, from people at the Women's March, and from our very own government as to what exactly was going on here and why it took them so long to find out.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup.